I want to look at gold in today's video. Things are playing out pretty much as I was expecting. We've pretty much left behind this resistance zone. This was the triple top back in 2011. I think we've left this behind enough at this point that this is going to hold. We're now kind of in that no man's land where the all-time highs are probably going to act like a magnet, pulling the market higher. I'll widen this chart out and you can see what I'm talking about. So here's that triple top. I think we've broken above this enough to kind of eliminate the possibility of a false move. And now there's really nothing, no resistance between here and the all-time highs. So I think these all-time highs are going to act like a magnet, pulling price higher. But I wanted to go over these common mistakes that people make over and over. So, I said weeks ago that this was going to be the trade of the year. And let me convert this back to daily. And then go to silver. So what happened was people become impatient. And I saw this, and I see this every time. These novice traders, they don't have the patience to allow the trade to work, and they get frustrated early, and then they give up and they sell, and then they end up sitting on the sidelines when the trade finally does materialize. So we've silver has done what I wanted it to do. I wanted to see it come up and test this major resistance zone here early this week, and it's done it. It's done it on Tuesday. We're even trying to break out above this. Now, I will say we're probably going to be due for a couple of sideways days, and then another big move higher. Although you have to be careful here when the banks get in trouble on their shorts. It's not out of the question that the CFTC will raise margin limits really high in order to stop the advance. So you got to be a little careful here. But so far, nothing bad has happened, and the metals are doing what we want them to do. They're doing it in the time zone that we want it. We're getting the euphoria phase that I told you was coming. But be aware that barring an attack by raising the margin limits that could maybe artificially put in a top, as long as that doesn't happen, we're clearly in the euphoria phase here, and this usually only lasts 7 to 8 days. So we're getting close to the timing band where you have to be willing to control greed, take profits, get out, and then wait for the next intermediate cycle low. And that's not going to happen quickly. These kind of moves generate a lot of bullish sentiment. They create that fear of missing out emotion. So there's a tendency to buy quickly once the intermediate correction starts, and they just don't end quickly. It usually takes 4 to 8 weeks to wash out the bullish sentiment that develops when we get into this final euphoria phase of the intermediate cycle. So, if you're trying to buy the first week that we get a correction, you're going to be way too early. I would hazard to guess that minimum it's going to take 4 weeks, and realistically probably 6 weeks, maybe even as long as 8 weeks before we get our next intermediate degree buy signal. And I'm going to say right now that I think the next intermediate cycle is going to be the really big the trade of the year, so to speak. This is this didn't quite do what I wanted. So even though this is, a really big move, I'm going to call this the mini trade of the year. I think the really big trade of the year is still in front of us. I think it's going to come in the latter half of the year. We usually get a very strong push in the metals. As we move into the holiday season where the jewelers are buying up metals in order to produce, you know, gold and silver jewelry. And that usually comes, we'll usually get a top somewhere in July, early August. This year, I think it's going to come here in the next, between now and the FOMC meeting. And then we'll have a long slog down into that intermediate cycle low. And then we'll have what I think is going to be a really big burst that's going to send gold through those all-time highs. And that will probably start the bubble phase of the gold bull market. So the really big trade, I think, is coming. And the same thing's going to happen. These same people, impatient people, they've missed the move. They got frustrated. They wouldn't listen to me. They didn't have patience. They ended up on the sidelines for this. Well, there's going to be a fear of missing out here. They're going to buy at the top and get caught at the top. And then they'll buy way too soon as we start the intermediate correction. And then when it is time to buy, the metals will have gone either down or sideways long enough to frustrate everybody or scare everybody and make it impossible for people to buy. And so the same people that, just wouldn't listen to me, didn't have the patience to hang on for this move, they will not be able to pull the trigger at the next intermediate cycle low, probably I'm going to say in late September. And then they'll miss the next big trade. And I think the next one's going to be much bigger and much easier to trade than this one was. So for those of you that, just didn't have the patience, wouldn't listen to me, you couldn't hang on long enough to profit, congratulations, you ruined another really good opportunity. We're going to get another one in a couple of months, and then you can try again to learn patience and learn how to make money in the market. Right now, being a contrarian, I'm starting to see a lot of people getting very bullish, predicting prices to the moon, and as a contrarian, this is when I want to get nervous. I don't think we've topped yet because gold hasn't reached 1920 yet, but I am aware that we're in the final days of this, and at some point here, got to control greed and just be happy with your gains, get out, and then wait for that next buying opportunity that's going to come probably, like I said, in September.